Chris Benoit was a name that resonated deeply within the world of professional wrestling. Revered for his technical prowess, dedication, and intense in-ring performances, Benoit's career spanned over 2 decades. He was regarded as one of the most skilled wrestlers of his generation, revered by peers and fans alike for his commitment to the craft. However, the tragic and shocking events of June 2007 would forever change the way his name was remembered. No longer would Chris Benoit be celebrated solely for his athleticism and hard work. Instead, his legacy would become marred by one of the darkest chapters in the history of professional wrestling, the rise of a wrestling icon. Born on May 21, 1967, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Chris Benoit began his wrestling journey at a young age. He was drawn to the world of professional wrestling after watching his idol, the legendary Dynamite Kid. Benoit, inspired by the high-flying, hard-hitting style of the British wrestler, dedicated himself to becoming one of the most technically proficient athletes in the business. Benoit's early career saw him wrestling in various small Canadian promotions, but it was his time in Japan that truly shaped his in-ring style. In the Japanese promotion, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Benoit honed his craft, developing a reputation for his fast-paced, hard-hitting matches that captivated audiences. In the mid-1990s, Benoit made the move to World Championship Wrestling, where he would become a household name. His stint in WCW saw him elevate his reputation as a high-flying, hard-hitting technician, and in 1995, he gained international recognition when he debuted in World Wrestling Federation, later known as WWE. His dedication, relentless work ethic, and passion for the sport earned him the nickname the Rabid Wolverine, reflecting both his ferocity in the ring and his no-nonsense attitude. The emotional high of WrestleMania XX. Benoit's career reached its pinnacle at WrestleMania XX in 2004, where he won the World Heavyweight Championship. This victory was monumental, not only because it marked Benoit's first major championship in WWE, but also because it was a culmination of years of hard work and sacrifice. The victory was especially poignant because it came alongside his close friend, Eddie Guerrero, who had also won a major championship that night. Their shared celebration in the ring, both men holding their respective titles, was a powerful moment in wrestling history. Benoit's triumph at WrestleMania XX was a symbol of his perseverance and dedication to professional wrestling. However, beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to form in his personal life. The death of Eddie Guerrero in 2005 was a devastating blow to Benoit, and the loss of his close friend had a profound impact on him. Many in the wrestling community, as well as those close to Benoit, noticed that he became more withdrawn and emotionally distant following Guerrero's death. The struggles beneath the surface. While Benoit's on-screen persona was that of a fierce competitor, behind closed doors, his life was anything but perfect. Like many professional wrestlers, Benoit's body had been subjected to years of brutal punishment. The physical toll of wrestling, countless concussions, joint injuries, and a relentless travel schedule took a significant toll on Benoit's health. Yet, despite the pain, Benoit refused to slow down, continuing to wrestle at the highest level, often working through injuries that would have sidelined most athletes. The emotional toll was just as severe. Benoit's personal life, while seemingly stable, was filled with complications. He was married to Nancy Benoit, a former wrestler known by her stage name Woman, and the couple had a son, Daniel. Despite outward appearances of a happy family, there were signs that Benoit's personal struggles were starting to manifest in his behavior. Friends and colleagues began to notice that Benoit had become more isolated, and his once vibrant personality seemed to dim in the wake of Guerrero's death. A fatal turn. The June 2007 tragedy. On the weekend of June 22 to 24, 2007, Chris Benoit's life took a tragic and horrifying turn. Benoit had been scheduled to appear at a WWE live event in Texas on June 23, but he failed to show up. He also missed a scheduled pay-per-view event the following day. The situation became increasingly concerning when Benoit failed to answer phone calls or respond to text messages from his colleagues. WWE officials, alarmed by his uncharacteristic behavior, decided to send a welfare check to his home in Fayetteville, Georgia. When authorities arrived at Benoit's home, what they found was nothing short of horrific. Inside the house, police discovered the bodies of Benoit's wife, Nancy, and their son, Daniel. Both had been murdered in their home, with each death death, taking place several days before the bodies were discovered. Nancy Benoit's body was found in an upstairs bedroom where she had been strangled with a cord. Daniel Benoit's body was found in his bedroom, and it was revealed that he had been drugged with Xanax before being suffocated. The final chapter in this tragedy occurred on June 24, when Benoit took his own life. His body was discovered in his home gym, where he had hanged himself using a piece of exercise equipment. The chilling details surrounding Benoit's actions suggested that he had meticulously planned the murders and suicide, as toxicology reports indicated he had searched for information about suicide online in the days leading up to the incident. The aftermath. Unanswered questions. The news of the murder-suicide shocked the world, leaving fans and wrestling professionals alike in a state of disbelief. Chris Benoit was a man many thought they knew, an athlete who had dedicated his life to the sport, and a father and husband who had appeared to have it all. The details of the tragedy left everyone grappling the fundamental question: how could this happen? In the days following the incident, an autopsy on Chris Benoit's brain revealed startling findings. Benoit's brain showed significant damage consistent with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative brain condition caused by repeated head trauma. The damage to Benoit's brain was severe, resembling that of someone much older who had suffered from Alzheimer's disease. CTE has been linked to a range of psychological issues, including depression, aggression, memory loss, and impaired decision-making. Many experts have suggested that the damage caused by CTE may have contributed to Benoit's violent actions. Toxicology reports revealed that Benoit had high levels of testosterone in his system, suggesting that he may have been using performance-enhancing drugs such as anabolic steroids. While steroids alone cannot explain the events of June 2007, they likely exacerbated the emotional and psychological issues Benoit was already facing. The combination of CTE, steroid use, and Benoit's already fragile mental health painted a troubling picture of how these factors may have led to the tragic events. The impact on the wrestling industry. The tragedy of Chris Benoit's death sent shockwaves throughout the wrestling world. For many, Benoit had been the embodiment of what it meant to be a professional wrestler. His dedication to his craft, his work ethic, and his passion for the sport were legendary. His sudden fall from grace raised questions about the health and safety of professional wrestlers, particularly regarding the long-term effects of head injuries and the use of performance-enhancing drugs. In response to the tragedy, WWE implemented a more stringent wellness policy. The company began testing its performers for drugs and alcohol more frequently and placed a greater emphasis on mental health support. Benoit's death also prompted discussions about the need for greater awareness regarding the dangers of CTE and its impact on athletes in contact sports. While the wrestling world did its best to address these issues, Benoit's legacy remains complicated. He is often remembered as a talented performer who left an indelible mark on the sport. However, his actions in June 2007 have forever tainted his legacy, and many fans and wrestlers have struggled with how to reconcile the two sides of his life. The legacy of Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit's name will forever be associated with tragedy, and his legacy remains a topic of debate in the wrestling world. For some, his in-ring accomplishments, his incredible matches and championships will always be remembered. For others, the events of June 2007 are impossible to separate from his wrestling career. The shock of his actions has left a deep scar on the wrestling community, and it has raised difficult questions about the responsibilities of sports organizations to protect their athletes from the long-term effects of physical and mental strain. The tragic story of Chris Benoit is a stark reminder of the fragility of human life and the complex nature of mental health. It highlights the devastating consequences of untreated head injuries, the dangers of performance-enhancing drugs, and the impact of grief and emotional turmoil. Benoit's life, once a story of triumph and success, ended in heartbreak, leaving behind a legacy that will always be overshadowed by the events of June 2007. In the end, the story of Chris Benoit is a tragic cautionary tale, one that continues to resonate with fans, athletes, and professionals alike, urging us to consider the long-term impact of our actions and the importance of taking care of our mental and physical well-being.